Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, I am absolutely delighted to be joined on another episode of the Fighters Rep podcast with none other than the father, aka Abu Sugar Bomb, Joseph Claycomb. How are you doing, Joseph?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Good to see you. Good to talk to you. And I'm glad you invited me onto the show. I love it. So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I'm very glad to have you on. And, the reason we have you on today, Joseph, is I wanted to talk about the teams, right? The teams that compete for Fighters Rep, because in my opinion, it's the teams, it's the people, it's the relationships you build that determine the quality of the show itself. And you're obviously one of those teams. And you kind of work with another team in Rage's EYR division rather, that also competes at Fighters Rep. You've also had the experience now with a couple Fighters Rep shows under your belt. You could talk about other teams that are at the show. So, I thought this would be a fun topic. What do you think about that?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of cool stuff happening at Fighters Rep, and it just keeps getting better and better. And the teams just they just keep getting stronger and improving. I think our team is improving as one of those teams too. So uh, yeah, I'm really happy how things are going with every event as since we got involved. And I've been involved before Michael was there.
Right, right.
I mean, I was there coaching Rage and cornering with Rage, and my first experience at the Fighters Rep.
All the way
Uh,
back at Fighters Rep 9, I remember, before the pandemic.
yeah, that's when we met, and uh, yeah, we were. It was Quincy who was Quincy Holland who was you know doing his fight, and I volunteered with Rage because Rage and I get really along. We're like brothers. We're really
Yeah.
good friends, and I was there to support. And Michael couldn't fight at that time because things just didn't line up at the time. And so I was there, and that was my first experience as Fighters Rep 9 in person.
Yeah.
So, and Rage introduced me to Fighters Rep because we were training for MMA for Michael. He wanted to have a fight career, and MMA was the route. We didn't know about Fighters Rep, and had I known, I would have been like, you know what, let's do this
I
first.
appreciate it, Joseph. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Uh, so, uh, what else? I mean, the show keeps getting better and better. I mean, every event just keeps getting more exciting. The fighters keep on improving their skill sets, and they're more technical. I think as the promotion grows and develops into a premier, I think it's already a premier promotion that you got going over there.
Thank you,
Um,
Joseph. Thank you,
pro-
man.
Professional, clean, and we've talked before, and we like dealing with the same kind of people that are professional and clean, and you know, professional about everything they do and how they act and the way they are, and as people, as fighters, as professionals. So I like it because I've seen how things are with tournament karate, amateur stuff. Not very organized. We've grown up where tournaments you can't even find the location. They don't have a banner or
Yeah.
you know like you try to find the place, and then the facility is a basketball gym, and it takes all day for 20 seconds of glory. So um, this is a really, really well done, and I love the presentation and everything. So I'm really
Much
happy, and
appreciated,
and
Joseph.
the culture too. The culture too. The culture is a martial arts. I want to say a martial arts culture. When people come from more of that background than just your I want to say the culture of a gym rat culture, where they just go to gyms and do their thing, and they don't really have a you know, a martial philosophy about them. They just want to fight. I feel like in Fighters Rep, you've got the Thai fighters, you've got some people that might do Taekwondo, you've got us that do karate. I feel like the community is more martial arts niche and specialized. So that's kind of a
I
cool thing
like that.
too.
I like that. So, before we continue, Joseph, we've got some kids back there warming up, getting ready. You're at the dojo right now, and usually I'm used to calling people coach. With you, I gotta refer to you as sensei. Um, because that's what you are. So, kind of tell me a little bit about your team, about Claycomb Karate Academy or Academy of Martial Arts, and and then we'll go from there. Tell me a little bit about you.
Well, let's just start with, we're in Fontana, California. I started my dojo in, if anybody's familiar with the City Hope in Duarte, California, in 2001, and we've been training for a long time, and uh, we migrated to Fontana later down the line. So that's where we are. We're in Fontana, and we're a traditional dojo. So one of the things that I've always had a goal to promote is traditional martial arts in modern combat sports. So we're a self-defense based, dojo with the etiquette and mannerisms of Japanese Budo, or as we call it, martial arts. Um, and that's very important, is to have that, uh, that philosophy about you. So we like to practice those principles and those characteristics. And so etiquette and manners and character and respect and all that is actually something that we take a lot of pride in. And so traditional karate and specifically Japanese karate and Shotokan would be our style if you wanted to give us a style. Although we like to prescribe as we don't have a style, we just do karate, and karate is a very vast art. There's many things about it, and people just think it's what they see on TV or what they see in tournaments, but that's just a slice, between traditional forms to combative applications for the street, self-defense, civilian self-defense, sport applications like point karate, kickboxing. Kickboxing used to be called full contact karate. Back in the PKA days, you see the referees wearing a uniform, a
Right,
gi,
right.
in black. So kickboxing, is full contact karate. So that's another thing. And this rule set that we have at FightersRep really, I think, works well for us because of all the techniques we do in my dojo are traditional techniques, and we're allowed to do these things that we can't do in tournament karate. So, we teach kids all the way up to adults, but of course the team, that's a different story. That's more intimate, that's more private. We're not like come on down, join our team kind of thing. It's not like that. It's more, we're going to specialize in what we do. We're going to train hard. And, Michael, my son, uh, and even Salah, my son he was sparring today with Raymond.
Wow,
So
wow.
Salah, 11-year-old wants to be he says he wants to be a world champion point fighter. But then he goes out and puts on boxing gloves and gives Raymond a couple of rounds, and as big brother
Nice,
uncle kind of
nice.
figure. But yeah, the dojo is about etiquette, manners, respect, the philosophy of Japanese martial arts. But we like to apply for modern combat sports too, because it's not just what is done in the old ways, but also moving forward into the new ways and the new methods. And so a traditional martial art with a modern methodology, if you want to call it
Yeah.
that. So how to apply karate for real life and how to apply it for real combat, whether that's kickboxing or MMA. And karate is misinterpreted a lot. So taekwondo is not karate. Tang Sudo is not karate. American karate is not karate at all either. So it's very
Yeah.
specific. And I like to promote that too. The idea that karate is a very specific martial arts. So my dojo, and that's what Michael wants to display in the ring, is that as a karateka or a karate practitioner, he has pride in displaying the karate skill set in the ring. It may be a little different than others, but people will notice there is a difference. It's not I just say do karate and I punch and kick and that's it. It's different. The way he moves, the way we do things is
Right,
different.
right.
So effective but different, you know.
Joseph, let me ask you. So it's kind of come full circle for you, right? It used to be, like you said, kickboxing was just sort of known as full contact karate. Then we kind of saw with the emergence of MMA and these other combat sports, karate and traditional martial arts kind of disappear, right? It's almost like a gimmick thing when you see a traditional martial artist now in the sport of MMA, which has become the popular combat sport. How does it feel to kind of, not only have found a rule set that you can compete in using your traditional martial arts in FightersRep, but also, you mentioned culture. Kind of tell me what your experience has been dealing with the other camps, since you guys are kind of an outlier. You guys are pretty much the only karate-based team that we have at the show.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll touch on that too. So, like when we say karate, or American accent karate, uh, when we say that, a lot of people like to label themselves as karate. Oh, I did karate, or I did karate here, and when I was a kid, and now I do this. Well, in my opinion, if you really did karate, you wouldn't stop doing karate and do something else, because you would be diving deeper into the art and getting better at it and effective and promoting it, rather than jumping camp or shifting, I want to say abandoning ship and go do something else. Karate can work for MMA if you study it full circle. So all martial arts, it doesn't matter what martial art, they all have certain elements. So striking is a big part of it. You have throws, takedowns, grappling, submissions, chokes and stuff. Because karate people don't specialize in that for the ring or for the cage. They do those things for the street, which is a very, very, very quick moment of adrenaline rush and dangerous moment. You're not playing the game of grappling in the street. So because it's a self-defense art, it doesn't focus on the game of grappling, but they do have the game of striking. And so with kickboxing, we can apply the sport element that we already have. And if you were to look at it this way, the sport of boxing, which is something you're a fan
Big time.
of. So let's just put it this way. Karate is based off of sword fighting principles. In other words, the distance of a sword. And the 1 point, idea is based on, if we both have a razor sharp sword, if I strike you once, that's the end of the match. If you strike me once, that's the end of the match. Kind of like judo as well. You throw somebody down to the mat, they're done. That's what they call ippon. So one strike, one victory, or flawless victory mindset is where the tournament karate comes from. But from a sporting perspective, now there's this continuous motion, this continuous, you hit them, they hit you back, you have to flow, you have to flurry, you have to do all these things. We do that from a distance more than anyone else. Boxing, I like to call it short distance karate. So think of boxing as what we would translate as short distance karate versus long distance karate. But the tournament karate is about the long distance more than anything. So they don't get to delve into the short distance stuff very much, which requires torque and twist and uppercuts and round punches and stuff like that. This is where Rage and I came together. So we morph his boxing expertise, and I bring the karate into the camp. And now, as a camp, we're kind of like two camps in one. That makes sense. We have collectively, we work successfully, and last event, you saw a little glimpse of Michael's hands, just a little bit different. He wanted to display the karate, but he did some things that were a little bit more close distance with Rage's help. And then Raymond, of course, who can forget that fight?
Crazy. That was
I was
nuts.
pointing at you when he did it, and we had that moment. He did the spin kick and dropped his opponent and finished the fight. So, and I feel very proud of that moment, because I feel like I was, obviously I was part of that,
I was proud of that
So
moment. Just watching that was amazing, because you see the development of these guys. You see how far they come. You see these new techniques that they learn. And it's just amazing to be the kind of platform where they're advancing, where they're learning, where they're getting better. That gives me a lot of gratification. But continue.
so with that being said, we used to go to Black House for a little bit. That's how Rage and I met. And we were going there because, um, Michael needed to wrestling. And my friend, I'm very good friends with Shinzo Michida and Lyoto Machida. They're very, obviously, whoever knows martial arts knows them. I'm very good friends with them. And I was working with them for a while on a different level because we have similar philosophies. And they kind of like what I believe in and what I do, and vice versa. So if there's anyone that I trust besides myself to work with my son, it's Chinzo and no one else. So that's why I'm his coach and his sensei, and we work alone because Claycomb karate is legitimate just as much as any other, regards to that. But we met at Black House through training wrestling with Kenny Johnson for Michael's takedown defense and stuff like that. And Rage and I just had a connection, and his guys that he worked with, we all kind of bonded really well. And so we just kind of took it from there. And then the pandemic really, really messed everybody up, right? So there was a time where we weren't training together. There was a time where things were locked down, all that stuff. There was like 2 years of frustration between when are we going to get a fight? When are we going to be able to fight? When are we going to date? And in the beginning, we were trying to go for MMA, and I didn't know about FightersRep. And like I mentioned, Rage said, "Yeah, why don't you do kickboxing?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, well, there's this thing called FightersRep, and I'm like, "Well, I've never heard of it because I'm kind of new to this arena, so to speak, or spectrum or community."
Yeah.
And I came to the FightersRep 9, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice. I like this." And so that's when I said to Michael, this might be a very good route for you because you can build yourself as a karate fighter, turn into a kickboxer, and go all the way that way. And then if you want to go to karate combat, or you want to go to MMA, or you just want to be a FightersRep champion, this is the way to go. And it feels more at home for us.
Yeah.
More at home, and we love it. And my students, that come to the shows to watch the fights, and they all wear their Sugar Bomb shirts. So get a glimpse of that one more time. That's the sticker. But so they all go and they wear their shirts and they cheer, and they have a good time. And Michael does well, and we just like the vibe and everything. So and then the other camps that I've seen, I can do a few name drops of who I've gotten, I want to say, impressed by as well.
I'd love to hear that. And, I think that's, that's always interesting to hear, what one team, thinks about the other teams. I always like to hear that.
Well, I look at the technicality of fighters on a little differently. So I don't necessarily look at how hard they can hit or how much of a beating they can dish out or take, although that is something I do enjoy. I look at their movement. I look at their posture. I look at their timing. And, okay, this kid's, got this or that, or,
Yeah.
And so I have those kind of things because as a karate practitioner, but also used to be a referee. I used to be an official in karate in tournaments. So we're looking for certain criteria to give the score, whether that's in forms or fighting. And in karate, for example, if you land a punch and you're off balance, for example, you don't have your footing, you don't have the correct distancing or timing, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
I look at those kind of things because, as a coach, if you can land a hard punch on someone and you have good balance, you have a better chance of landing it properly rather than just kind of a lucky swing that might land. It may do something, but I look at those things. So when I see fighters that get in the ring, I look at the guys that have that pep in their step, so to speak,
Yeah.
and the movement. They use the whole ring to their advantage. So I have a few. I don't necessarily know their names off the top of my head, but I think I can name a few. So from uh, last event, Fighters Rep 13, the young guy that he fought, was it Gabriel? No, one of the Silva kids, Khalil. It was
Yeah.
Khalil against
Oh, okay, okay. You're talking about Ahmed.
Ahmed, yeah, and well, it was because that was kind of like a sudden matchup, right? Like,
Right, right, right.
so he got the call, and he actually, because I grew up in Bahrain myself, he had something about Bahrain. I'm like, this guy's from Bahrain, and so he was in the blue corner, and we were all in the blue corner. So I met him in the locker room too, and so nice guy, Egyptian. I think he's Egyptian, and so when I watched his fight, I didn't get a chance to watch his fight live. I had to watch it later when the stream went on YouTube, and he has, I don't want to say he has the most power necessarily, but he has really good timing, really good footwork, really good movement and distancing, and that's the stuff that I like to,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's a good strategy now. So that's something that I liked about him, and Khalil Silva has a little bit of that too. So together they just have had a good flow in their fight.
Hmm.
I thought maybe Khalil could have been a little busier. Maybe that's why he didn't get the decision. But when you get a fighter that has sting like a bee, float like a butterfly, way, and then you get another one who has similar attributes together, now it's a chess match of finding the gaps, finding the distances, and stuff like that. So I liked Ahmed a lot, just from his timing and distancing.
And just so you all know, that's Ahmed Zidan training out of the Arena Gym. Shout out to his coach Chuck. Um, he put on a great performance out there. You're right about that.
I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was a very, not everybody was impressed with it necessarily because it didn't have a lot of killer power, so to speak,
Right,
but
right.
had some good. They landed some nice kicks. I think he landed one or two kicks to the head, and I think Khalil landed a headshot too, but Ahmed shook it off.
Yeah, I mean, Khalil did. It seemed like Khalil landed the biggest shot of that fight with that head kick, but I'm like you. I just thought he wasn't busy enough. I thought it was a good fight. It was a close fight, but I thought Ahmed, got the decision and deserved it, just like you said, based on being busy. Whereas Khalil was kind of just sitting back waiting on it. But I agree. I thought, even though Ahmed was more experienced than Khalil, and I got to give Khalil big respect, because Ahmed did have more fights than him, and he accepted the fight, on a few hours' notice, basically,
Right,
because his opponent, came in a little over, and he came in, Ahmed came in a little under. So,
right.
actually, Khalil's opponent, couldn't even make the weigh-ins. I don't know what happened there. No comment on that, but it was a lot of respect for me from me for Khalil for taking that fight. It ended up being a good fight, and I think Ahmed, showed that he definitely has some skill, and we'd love to get him back.
Right. No, I think I would like to see that too. Another. Here's one thing. I'll go with a camp this time. Is Chad George has? I know you guys are worked together for a while. I haven't really got much experience with him in person, other than a couple of highs and hellos and how are you kind of thing in passing.
Yeah.
Um, but he always brings good quality to the event. Like, he always brings people that are very well rounded, or even if they're beginners, his fighters are always, that it's going to be a good fight or a good match when he's got somebody up there.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't know him personally too much. I just know him through the grapevine. Everybody kind of knows who everybody is. I'm the new sensei,
Yeah,
on the,
yeah.
you know, and so in that sense, I think Chad George's, is it CMMA? They've got a solid group there. It's got a lot of people. We, on the other hand, it's me and Michael, and now me, Michael, Rage, Raymond. You know, kind of like a traditional boxing setup where like, I mean, Mike Tyson had one coach or maybe a coach dad, and it was just him, and then he would have sparring partners, and that was
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Coaching was just kind of like individual, and that's kind of how me and Michael are. Like everything we, for Fighters Rep 10, when he went against his first opponent, Richie,
Richard, yeah, Laura.
and uh, good fight, for Michael to start off with, because Richie was tough, but it was me and Michael in the garage just doing technique, and his conditioning was strictly the wrestling conditioning, and then the stuff we do in the dojo. That was it. So we didn't have a focused. We did not have a focused, you know, conditioning program, so to speak.
Yeah.
By the time the second fight came along with Banda, Michael had some serious conditioning going on, and even then he could have been better. So, but now with me and Rage really teamed up together, we train in my dojo, Rage and I now, 5 days a week, pretty much, in the mornings.
Amazing, amazing.
And it's been excellent for them. They've gotten, I get to focus on Michael and Raymond, and Rage gets to focus on Michael and Raymond.
I absolutely love that collaboration, Joseph. And what I wanted to ask you about it, and I asked Rage about this, but I'll go to you. Is so you've got all these kids in the background. I think I see Michael in the background too, if I'm not mistaken,
That's
teaching a
Michael. That is.
class. There he is. There he is. And I see all these kids in the class right now doing what he's telling them to do. Is there a chance that Claycomb karate becomes a breeding ground for fighters, and not just for Fighters Rep, although I would prefer that very much and enjoy that very much. But just becomes a breeding ground for pro fighters. I mean, because look, you've got all these young kids back there. I just see them going back and forth as we're speaking.
It all depends on what the goal is. So if the goal is self-improvement, focus, discipline, and stuff like that, maybe that's the goal. If the goal is I want to be more of a competitor, stuff like that, it was challenging during the pandemic, because everything shut down and we didn't have any way to compete.
Right.
And then we also took a different direction years ago when Michael was a kid, where I went to the more combative, realistic, stuff. And karate combat didn't exist. Fighters Rep didn't exist then. There wasn't very much you could do for karate back then. So unless you just go straight to MMA, and which is not an easy route. It's not an easy route. And you have to be very, very good. So it all depends, because we're a dojo, people don't necessarily come to us for the fighting. They come to us for many other things that I think if somebody is looking to go that route, they have to be dedicated, and they have to grow into the martial art itself and build a foundation where they're capable of doing so. And then once they get to that teenage years / adult level, if they're serious, then there's a chance, because they all learn the traditional fighting techniques as part of their curriculum anyways. So, they learn sparring. We have sparring in our dojo. So everybody, and that's our number one class, is the sparring class. Everybody likes that. But they got to grow up to be able to be a fighter, right? So it all depends on what the people want.
Yeah.
And at the same time, and I'm going to say this publicly, MMA has kind of really put a shadow over the combat sports culture, because I feel like it's a mix of WWE and boxing, in the sense that it's entertainment, and it's professional, but it's not necessarily a family. It's not necessarily families want their kids seeing that. So people that want, so then they kind of shroud over the rest of the combat sport world, because MMA is the go-to that everybody just thinks that's what it is. But there's very, the boxing is known as also the gentleman's sport,
Yeah.
for example, right? So that gentleman sport comes from a history where they were, gentlemen, respectable people doing something for sport and for competition. And now it seems like, people get into fighting as an escape from their life, escape from their problems and stuff like that. Like, for example, Michael, he fights because of the love of the art,
Right.
the love of of karate, not not because he has to.
Yeah.
He chose this path, and so I think choosing the path out of passion makes a big difference in how people think about it versus I'm doing this because I want to make money and I want to escape my elements that a lot of people and MMA kind of promotes that a little bit, I don't think boxing promotes that so much, but that's my personal opinion, and so people want to see, the gladiator games. They want to see the blood and the guts and and that's entertainment. But if you want to see sport and you want to see competition and you want to see something that everyone can watch at home, families can watch boxing. Uh, you know, you see, dads watch boxing with their kids at home. That's something they can do. You can do that with karate too, an Olympic-based like type sports, or but MMA, not everybody wants to see that. So I feel MMA has kind of put a little cloud over the rest of the combat sports in that sense. So being that we're a dojo, we're promoting a martial art and the discipline of it and other things. People don't necessarily come to us for fighting, but we still have that breeding grounds element, because anyone that will come out from my dojo may very well look like Michael.
I see. I see. And Joseph, like, are you announcing it? Like, are you letting people know, hey, if you want this option, it's available?
Absolutely. Yes, it is available. And there's no better way to show your karate skills than in the public eye. But that takes dedication, right? So if you want it, it's available. We have it. It's something you can do, you can look forward to. And Michael's leading the way with that. I wanted to do that when I was younger, but I didn't have things line up. The stars didn't line up for me the way I wanted them to. I had to do a lot of different battles in life to get to this point. So I support my son because he chose this path, and I got his back the whole way, and he's going to not only have somebody who cares about him, but somebody who wants to build him, properly as well. So, and take care of him the whole way, the whole career. So, and anybody else that comes up, I've got other kids that are thinking about it now because Michael's their hero.
Love it. I love it.
So it's kind of building up into that. And I want all the other karate people to do it too. It's very hard to get the karate community to get out of their, tournament mindset and get out there to try something new or something old that karate used to be known for.
Right.
So, but yeah. I mean, yes, we are a fight camp. We have a fight camp. We have classes for people that want to learn the martial arts. And if they want to go into a career path, well, there is a pathway.
Yeah.
So definitely a nice pathway. And we happen to know a couple of guys, or one specific guy at FightersRep that might have something to say about that. So,
and what is that?
We know a guy named George Francis. I think we know him well enough to to send somebody over, if they're looking to get into the,
Absolutely.
you know,
That's why we're here, and that's why we're asking these questions. Now, Joseph, before we continue, I'm gonna ask everybody watching this channel to please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon next to it so you know when we drop a video, and join the channel. That's how you can support us. Just $9.99 a month. We build this thing together. Also, get your stuff, your merchandise below in the link below. That'll also help us build. Finally, follow us on social media at FightersRep, as you can see here below. And follow Joseph Claycomb and his amazing karate and martial arts academy at Claycomb Karate on Instagram.
we have Facebook, Claycomb Karate, our website's Claycomb Karate. Instagram's the easiest way as well. I got a lot of people that love our dojo, and our social media platform is run, I run it, but I have a student of mine, Carolyn, who is just amazing, and she does my posts for us and our videos and stuff. So I'd like to give a shout out actually to Carolyn Avalar for doing that for me, because Carolyn is one of those students that loves the dojo. So, and our social media presence is because she's so great at it, and she designed our shirts for the Sugar Bomb
and they
shirts.
look great, and your social media looks great too, Joseph. And also, speaking of Sugar Bomb, he is throwing down at FightersRep 14th on June 25th. Get your tickets below, or go to FightersRep.com. There you can get your tickets or watch the live stream, again, by joining this channel for just $9.99 a month. It's worth it. You're not going to want to miss it, Joseph. We've got a ton of action-packed fights, obviously including Michael. Since we're on that subject, how's Michael's training camp going? How's everything going with Michael right now, getting ready for this fight at the end of the month? It's just 2.5 weeks out.
It's not that far away. Actually, we had a good session today, and we feel very, very good. Michael and Raymond both look primed. And I don't just say that because he's my fighter, my son, my student. I do say it that way, but for those reasons. But he, if you thought you liked him before, you're going to like him in the end of the month. You're going to like what you see. I mean, we're getting all the pieces together that, the cool thing about Rage and I is that I'm not trying to change Raymond into a karate fighter.
Yeah.
And he's not trying to change Michael into a boxer. We are just enhancing each other's guys. The things that I'm good at, I'm feeding Raymond, and the things he's good at, he's feeding Michael. And we're creating two beasts from the same pot, if you want to call it. But it's a hybrid of really good boxing skill and technique with, of course, really good karate too. So, Michael's ready. He looks great. He's hungry. I think you're going to see a Michael, Sugar Bomb Michael Claycomb that you haven't seen yet. He always says, expect the unexpected. I do think he's going to come more focused than last time. Bonda was tough. Man, that guy. Bonda was tough.
He was a tough guy.
We all were wondering, when was he going to go down? I mean, Michael didn't hit him with any light things, and he hit back hard too, and they just went at it. But Bonda, man, he, if there's, and nice guy, we met at the end, and but man, Michael, he could have done better. He could have done better, and I think next, Fighters Rep 14, he's going to be showing how better he can be, because I see it in training, his attitude, his focus. He came off of injury, shin splints for the last fight, so the confidence was the nerves, that kind of stuff was what happens, if I injure myself again. He didn't want to wait so long for the fight, so this is like a good, nice 2-month, right into it again. I like that. So you're going to see a better, new and improved. If you thought he was a good improvement from the first one with Richie, and then to Bonda, you're going to like what you see, against Kai. Kai, is it Kai? Kos. Spirits,
Casamoon,
right?
yeah, Casamoon Spirits. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Out of Peter Cunningham's gym, great, a legendary kickboxer, and apparently Cas has a martial arts background as well, so it should be interesting.
I remember Cunningham from the No Surrender, No Retreat movie.
Wow.
Uh, that he was part of the karate team when Van Damme was playing a Russian
I
guy, and
see. I see.
got to watch No Surrender, No Retreat. Cunningham was in that. He was one of the fighters. So yeah, that's how I remember. I recognize him. I think I've seen this guy. So
Yeah.
that'd be an honor. Be an honor to coach on opposite sides.
Yeah, and that again, that goes to kind of the subject of this video, right, Joseph? I mean, we've got these fantastic teams, some of the best camps in the world, some of the best fighters in the world leading these teams, training in these teams, and I think it really elevates everybody.
Let's name them. I mean, I think Mission Muay Thai is a good team.
Yeah.
I think they're a very good, friendly team, but traditional Muay Thai, and I think Boss Rutan works with them sometimes.
And then
Um,
he's got his own, elite and Bas Ritten's
yeah,
elite MMA gym, I believe it is, and that's where Raymond's last opponent came out of.
yeah,
Ludwig,
Ludwig.
yeah.
Ludwig was tough too. I mean, Raymond, man, or I would say kudos to Ludwig for staying in there as hard as he
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Uh, I like I don't know about the camp necessarily, but I like Pacheco. I mean, I don't like necessarily his style personally, but I like he just keeps coming. He just keeps coming. Like, you can't stop that guy. Um,
How could anyone not love David Pacheco? I mean, I want to say David Pacheco might be one of the most exciting fighters ever. Ever, just ever.
he seemed he like I didn't know anything about him, but when I watched the fight against can't remember his name. He was an MMA fighter, I think, the last time they
Diego
fought.
Perez.
Diego, yeah. We met Diego at Fight Academy a while back at Savant's uh, gym, Fight Academy in Pasadena, and so that brings me to Smith. So he's fighting David
Right,
Pacheco.
right, right.
Smith, we've met personally. I think Michael's had a round or two with him, in the mix. But that guy's also pretty good too. We know personally, he's really good. So I think that's going to be a really good like clash of the Titans. I think uh, matchup because Pacheco's just doesn't stop coming, and I think Smith is powerful too. He's got power,
Yeah,
and he's smooth and he's got power. And then I think I liked Rasuli. I liked Rasuli. I know not many people knew about him. I mean, before maybe, but he's a really nice guy. I thought Amal Rasuli was really cool, and for a heavyweight to throw and kick the way he did, I didn't get a chance to really ask him much, but I thought he really had some really, really good hands on him. And that fight last time, 5 rounds, was also a
it
war. And
was.
the other guy, his opponent was just taking it. And no matter how much he dished it out, it just kept taking it. But Rasuli, I liked his uppercuts. His uppercuts were solid, and he threw some roundhouse kicks up close. I was like, that's nice. So I really liked Amal Rasuli too. Um, and who else? Who else? Um, I'm glad Champs is back. Uh, is it Champs?
Champions,
Champion.
yeah, champions. I mean, we don't have anyone from that camp on this event, but I'm also glad to, kind of be in touch with them and working with them again, hopefully soon.
Yeah, I like that they had I think they had 3 fighters when Michael fought
They
Richie.
did.
They
They did.
had guys. So and they were all you know move forward type as well. And for us, like for Michael, he's typically a counter fighter, so we like the forward moving, but it's a little different in kickboxing because it's an onslaught when you do that. So he's learning to change the game a little bit
Yeah.
himself and to be more cerebral about how he handles that. So, and the harder the fighters are, the better it is for everyone. So, but I think that camp, if they get back into it, I think they'll bring some quality, to the game as well.
Yeah.
But who else? Who else?
We've got you mentioned Pacheco. I mean, Blackbeard Kickboxing. His coach is Jason Caldwell. He's also going to be the man behind Joshua Caldwell, who's going to be taking on Vital Forces Christian Zoller for the super middleweight amateur title. I think that's going to be a fantastic fight. We saw Christian against Quincy in the last fight. We saw Caldwell against another fantastic gyms fighter in Hard Works, right? Coach Hung. Because he went against Cameron Spencer in that last fight. That was a lot of fun, and Hard Works is coming back. I mean, they cross-trained with Timo Yama, one of the legendary, camps of combat sports.
And they're actually, Timo Yama crosses over. Like they're not known just for their kickboxing. Like I've heard about them, in general before knowing. So they're when you're a team that is in more than one level of combat sports, then they're good.
Absolutely.
So there's been a few. I think I've heard about Zaragoza. Zaragoza, am I saying it right?
Tough. He's very tough. He's a very good fighter out of Brood 9, which is Coach Anthony Eisenhower's gym.
I've heard about him, but I haven't seen him. I know he fought in FightersRep 10, but I've heard so much about him from people that follow Michael now.
Yeah. So, he's actually had, I think, all 3 or 4 of his fights with us, and he's turned into, he wouldn't be the first kid that's turned into an absolute, handful at FightersRep, and he's taken on a kid who's had 2 fights with us in the past, and that you're familiar with, in Hamza Trad, who's training out of Karen Darabedian's MMA gym.
We know Hamza actually because he visited Black House a while back, and him and Michael actually hit it off. And also he speaks Arabic, so I hit it off with him too because he was having a hard time communicating.
Right, he's Syrian.
Yeah. So we are very familiar with him, and we like Hamza. And we consider him a friend, because we've trained together. So that's kind of cool. I'm glad he's in the mix too.
Yeah, and and that's Karen Darabedian's gym. So or Karen. If he hears me call him Karen, he'll punch me in the head. It's Karen, and he's obviously. I mean, he's had a good career. He fought at the highest level in MMA, and Hamza's is good. Hamza's dad,
He's tough.
Yeah.
Hamza's tough.
Yeah.
Let's just say I know for a fact Hamza's super tough.
Right, and that's why I'm so excited about this fight because Edgar's also tough. So this should be a really good one.
Pardon the noise. We got everybody getting out of their class.
No, it's all good, Joseph. It's all good. Well, listen, I'm really glad you were able to do this with me, Joseph. I just want to thank you for doing it with me again. I've kept you long enough. I know you got to get back to work, but thank you so much. Guys, if you haven't already, again, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, and join to continue to support building the promotion. Also, follow us at FightersRep and follow our amazing guest, Joseph Claycomb, at Claycomb Karate, right there underneath his picture on Instagram. Follow the career of his son, Michael Claycomb, as he makes his 3rd kickboxing fight at FightersRep. There's the sticker Sugar Bomb.
Here is the Sugar Bomb.
And the Sugar Bomb. He's coming into the picture. What's going on, Michael? How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We were just closing this interview out with your dad, talking about the camp, talking about your team, talking about all the other teams that we admire that compete at FightersRep, and talking about your fight coming up June 25th. How are you feeling?
I feel better than ever, not going to lie. I'm ready for this.
I love it. So, people, you can, again, get your tickets to watch all these guys throw down, including Michael Sugar Bomb Claycomb at FightersRep. If you can't make the event, which they have no reason not to be able to make it, Joseph and Michael, because they could just spend the night at the Commerce Casino no matter where they're at.
And you know what? That's
Exactly.
a great idea.
There you go.
So,
There you go. But if you can't make it, get your live stream also at FightersRep.com. It's just $9.99 a month.
hey, I subscribe to the channel. I can't remember how many months I've paid for it, but I subscribe to it because I believe in supporting it. I believe every camp should subscribe and get at least 1 or 2 subscriptions from each camp just to support it, because it all goes back, right? It all goes back to the community. So
100%. It is not, I'll tell you, it's not the cheapest endeavor to put these fights and build this promotion. And I am investing essentially all of the money that's made right back into the promotion. So,
well, we love it. Thank you, George, for hosting me. And all right, I'm going to close it up with him. So see you in class.
Whatever. Hi, everybody.
See you later.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Joseph Claycomb. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Us.